嗨，大家，今天是一个访谈节目，我邀请了一个我上个月去 Eleven Lab 的 Hackathon 认识的一位评审，他有一间 Co-op 的公司。那 Co-op 是什么呢？简单来说的话，就像是这间公司接了很多案子，然后分派给这些工程师们，大家一起来做。但是就是比传统的那种你自己去接案更轻松一点，因为你可能不需要去烦恼要怎么样去找人，然后或者是你在一间接案的公司里面做，相对于那种来说会赚的钱比较多。所以我觉得这个影片是给任何如果你今天是一个想接案的人，或者你想要赚一些外快，或者你就是想要知道有没有一些不一样的工作模式，这影片会很适合你。就是我就是来访问这个创办人，跟他了解一下这个模式，还有他为什么会创这样的公司。好，那我们就来欢迎 Caleb。
你好。
嗨 Caleb， 可以跟大家介绍一下关于你吗？就是关于你的背景，你为什么会来台湾，然后还有你现在在做什么。
好 OK， 我会来台湾。你背景什么意思？
Your background。
OK 好 OK。你好，我是 Caleb， 我是美国人，从 Texas。我在台湾4年过了。我在大学学那个写 like creative writing 写的是
creative writing。
对。但我到台湾的时候，我第一次是10年15年应该是。我就会做 like English teaching like 教英文。so
okay.
不很没有future 的工作。
英文老师哭哭。
对，oh well。所以我回到美国，然后学怎么 code like 软体工程师是。对，我去一个 bootcamp， 然后我在旧金山 like 做我的 career like build my career like， 然后 like 我的目标总是 like 回来台湾，所以我4年回来，所以 like 就好了。My goal is achieved.
Your goal was to build a skill and come back to Taiwan.
对。
Wow. I feel so touched.
Yeah, well, 但 like just yeah, one problem 是 like 我没有 like 其他的目标 like 我不知道我 I did it, now what like
没有啊，你现在有一间公司呀。
对，我另外它 508.dev 是一个我有那个 translation 是合作社业务。
合作社业务，没有，我们可以讲 co-op 就好。
Yeah， 是一个 co-op， 所以 like 因为 like 我觉得我到台湾的时候 like 我的朋友们都他们的领薪水太少。我觉得因为 like 我在 like 公司 like 做一样的工作，但我的领薪水是7倍 like 7 times theirs.
Yeah,
it's unfair, makes no sense. 所以 like 我觉得让我很生气 angry. 所以我开始我的工作，我有理论是 like 要是你给人 like 很 fair 的领薪水 like 付钱 like 比较多，然后 like 没有做 like 很无聊的事，比如说make up holiday 假的假期，你知道 like 你
补假。
对，补假我没有做是这样子，还是 like 你不用 like you know 776 or whatever they call it these days. Sorry, can I swear by the way? Or what is it called? Jojo What is it? 996. You know, don't do that shit.
Yeah, I don't.
Oh, yeah. You know, like long hours. Like you don't make
Yes.
people work long hours.
From 9 to 9, 6 days per week.
Yeah. We don't do that. 然后 like just treat them like people. so 我的理论是 like 要是你做这样子，你的工作人员都很 productive， 应该是是我的理论。so 我觉得我已经 like confirm like my theory is correct， 我们工程师都很厉害的。所以我们的 business model 是 like 我们找我们去 like 美国找工作的客户
Yes， 客户
clients， 然后 like 跟我们的台湾的工程师 like 见面 like make them meet 见对，然后他们做 like 那个 like 就做 like 工程师的事。所以 like 我们的 美国的客户，他们付的比较少，like 比
compared to the
里面
Bay
like 美国的
Area.
对对，但 like 台湾的领薪水是那么比较大。In fact, it's like not quite meeting in the middle. If this is the American
Yeah.
companies
So
and this is the
everyone
Taiwanese,
gets some
it's more like
benefits.
meeting over here.
Yeah.
Like, 所以 like 我的long term
长期
yeah 长期目标是 like 我们的工程师都是在台湾的里面的最好的工程师，然后 like 因为 like 我们的领薪水是最大的，然后其他的 like benefits 是很好的，所以 like 我们的工作的 like products 都是 like 那么 like high quality, you know? Like all the best engineers working with us. Yeah, no other company can hire them because why would they work for them and not us?
Yeah, that's really ambitious. That's really nice. I would want to join as well.
You are welcome to. I invited you.
Yeah. So I was really surprised to hear about this business model. And I'm really curious, did you start it from here or you already started when you were back in the US?
我在台湾开始，因为 like 因为我到台湾的时候，我的目标就是继续学中文，还是 like 骑摩托车，就是 like chill。但 like 因为我在隔离的时候是2021，所以我需要隔离。我的朋友 like 问我 like like 你要 like 帮我们做 like 那个网页 like 你没有会其他的事 so just help us real quick. And I was like okay, and like 然后 like one thing after another, you know, just like
I see. So the friend was from the US.
the first well I was in Taiwan in quarantine.
Yeah, but you
yeah,
have your clients in the US.
almost all of them are American. Yeah.
Oh, so it was really like thanks to you have build that career back in the US. So you have all the connections.
Yes, but my network is not as good as some of our other members. So we have like a member like Michael Wu who brings in at this point the vast majority of the contracts. But yeah, I guess my network is okay. I don't know. I don't want to take too much credit.
Yeah, that's really cool. I really like this idea that you want to make sure everyone gets the same benefit and everything. And I think that's the core value of this co-op model, right?
The core value, we have a couple, but yeah, primarily we don't want to profit from other people's labor. And so the only way to make money at the co-op is to do some work. Sometimes that means just bringing in contracts and then you get a referral bonus, but that's still work. So there's no boss making money off of your work. Yeah. So that's the primary value.
Okay. Can you give like people who does have no idea about co-op and is just learning it for the first time a more clear, simple way to describe this model?
Yeah, I'll have to use English. So a co-op is just a bunch of workers want to do their work, like engineering or farming, but you know they don't like one person doesn't have enough capital to do something on their own, so they team up together, and they are, do you know the term greater than the sum of their parts? Like together they're more powerful, and so they just work together. So for example, for the co-op, one engineer freelancing, like I did that, it's fine. But if I can tell a client that, you know, I'm mostly a front end engineer, like, and they need a back end engineer, I can say like, oh well, like, you know, my co-op has back end engineers, so just hire me, and when you're ready, we'll bring one of the back end engineers online. So it's like we're more powerful together. Plus, there's a layer of legitimacy. No, we didn't invent this idea. This is a very ancient idea. Like this is how most guilds organized themselves, you know, 400 years ago. And you have co-ops in Taiwan, like you have farmer co-ops. If you go to any indigenous township or any like remote area in Taiwan, you'll find a farmer's co-op where all the farmers work together and then sell all their goods and then they bring them to the city together.
I never thought about it. Yeah.
They're here. I don't know if those are, the word co-op can mean many different things, but the idea generally is that it's a company owned by the workers.
Okay. I think that example you talk about the farm, the township place, they really explain things really clear to me.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So, can you tell me the story of how you started your company, this co-op, when it's in the initial stage? What was the background?
Yeah. So at first, it was just an LLC, like a company that I needed to have for myself for tax reasons. And my plan was to turn it into a web accessibility specialized company. But then I just kept getting normal web dev contracts, so it didn't matter. So that's why it's called 508. That's a law in the U.S. about web accessibility. So that's the name. But anyway, what happened was I was brought on to a Y Combinator startup that needed their entire front end built, basically their whole stack built actually, and there was too much work for just me to do. So I said, well, I have the co-op. It wasn't really real then, but I just said I had it. And I was like, I know some engineers in Taiwan that are really good, that I had already met through, do you know G-Link V, G0V?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so I met some people through that. So I brought on 2 engineers, and that was the first big project. That's still one of our biggest projects. That was like 3 years ago though, but yeah, that's how it started. And then from there, we just got more clients and more engineers.
And keep finding more engineer.
Yep. Teddy Lai interviewed me. That was really big. Then we got a lot of engineers from that video. So I like doing videos with YouTubers. I usually get lots of applications.
It's interesting in joining his company and get paid more.
Yeah.
Where should they go? Yeah. Where should they go?
Well, just 508.dev under want to join. There's a link. The process is pretty simple. Maybe we can talk about it later or something, but it's you just have to contribute to one of our open source projects. That's it.
Oh, okay. Wow. Then I actually go check all the members. It's a really long list.
About 100 people, and that list is a little out of date, I think, because people come and go. I think it's always been around 100. It's only about 15 people actively working a contract right now, but in the Discord server, it's about 100 people. Yeah,
that's really a lot of people. I think I feel like it's already a lot of job to manage that much of people.
You are correct. It is.
Yeah, and you're not getting paid more, but you still need to do this, right?
I'm not getting paid anything right now, but that's my plan this year, is to focus on how I can, provide for myself. Before this, I would just work contracts on my own, to like pay for my rent and stuff, but that was kind of hurting my ability to focus completely on the co-op, which every business owner can tell you. You basically just need to full-time it. So, that's what we've been working on is making all the processes as smooth as possible this year. And maybe I can take a little bit of money out once a month. I mean, the co-op does owe me money, technically. I invested a lot, but we'll see about that.
Okay, so in your co-op experience, is there any specific moment that made you feel like, oh, this co-op model is really different from all the traditional, the company things that you had before?
有，我想一下，大部分的工作要他们的工作人员都stay I don't know how to say that. Stay within, don't leave. 不要出来，不要出去。It's called retention. 但我的 co-op我最喜欢的是一个工程师离开我们，然后到一个工作付他们那么大的领薪水。So 比如说，其中我第一次的工程师一个那个 contract 以后finish 结束的时候，他找到一个旧金山的工作，以前他的领薪水是I don't know, maybe $15 an hour. 但在旧金山的领薪水是应该75
对
an hour. Yeah. So it's 7x, right? So even though 他还没在我们的工程师，在我们的co-op, 我还有很开心。So so very different, the company's incentives and objectives are very different from a traditional company's, because the only thing we care about is our workers.
Yeah, they should choose what's best for themselves.
Exactly. And all of our incentives are aligned with that. There's no counter incentives. So even if a traditional company says like, oh, we care about our workers, no, the only thing a traditional company is allowed to care about is profit. Everything else is a distraction. If it doesn't help profit, they're a bad company, right? But we have the opposite.
Yeah, but actually, the more I hear from the story, the more I feel like to be a founder of the co-op is really challenge. It's really difficult because like you cannot keep them, and you always need you just kind of unsure what's going to happen, and you kind of I assume you will need to listen to opinion of everyone since it's all about equality.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work to run a co-op, and we are talking about how the people who like have basically a leadership role, quote unquote, like me or Michael Wu, like how can we incentivize, make it so that we can keep doing that, like doing all the administration and organization. So we haven't quite figured out how to do that. It's just mostly a lot of work. However, in a co-op, everyone has a lot more responsibility than a traditional company. So for example, if you're working in a contract with us, you have to track your hours and then help like combine the hours into an invoice that we send to the client, and then you have to create an invoice to us, and you have to help us keep track of that. In our software, you have to click the buttons and put the numbers in, and then the only thing I will do is look at an invoice and pay it. Like I'm not going to do any like tracking of hours or anything like that. So there's a lot more responsibility, and most of our clients come to us with like our marketing pitch is that our engineers are very independent. They don't need to be told what to do. They can figure it out on their own. So yeah, it's hard work because the expectations are higher. I mean, if you're getting paid 7 times your salary or 4 times your salary, that's to be expected. But I think that people prefer that. I think people are tired of being in jobs where they have no ownership and they're just told what to do. And often what they're told to do is stupid or like not the right thing. And the worker will know that because the worker does the job every day and the boss doesn't have as much of an idea. It's not always the case, but so I think people prefer this environment. I think it's very empowering, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, what's the thing that keeps you going? I'm really curious now. Like you want to make the engineers in Taiwan a better life, or what is it? What do you envision?
固执. Can I say that?
固执,
It's
yes.
stubbornness, pure stubbornness. I just think it's not fair that people get paid so little money. It doesn't make sense that Google pays their engineers half of what they pay their San Francisco engineers in Taiwan. They're both working on Google search. It's the exact same work. It does not make any sense to me. I think it might be because I'm ADHD or slightly autistic, but if you have that kind of brain, I guess you just like you see something wrong and you have to fix it. It'll drive you crazy, like if you don't. So I don't know. I can't like take too much credit. It's just it just seems obvious to me. Like why does nobody talk about this? Like So that's why I keep doing it. Is sheer stubbornness to prove an overall ideological like philosophy I have that if you treat people like people, the outcomes will be better.
Yeah, I think especially when you say, when you first enter a company that your bosses tell you what to do, especially when you are new, like when you first graduate, I still remember, like, I just feel like my advice is really not being heard. They don't want to know anything from me, but they want me to do so many things.
That's a classic problem. We hired a junior engineer at my last startup I was working at, and he had a whole lot of ideas. And I remember as a senior, I was a little frustrated. I was like, okay, dude, like, I know what's going on here. You need to calm down. But then I realized, first of all, he was often right and I was wrong. Second of all, the reason for that is because he, he's a junior engineer in 2025. Like he has to work way harder than me to like make a name for himself. And he just came out of like school, so he knows all about new technologies that I don't really care about. Like I'm fine. I'm just using JavaScript, React, Next.js, TypeScript. Like I don't need to, but he's coming in with new. I was still using Webpack. He had some new thing he wanted to use. I was still using npm. He wanted to use pnpm or something. All these new technologies that I just whatever. I'm not paying attention. I don't care. So juniors have a lot to bring to the table, and they also generally work really hard. So I don't know. It's good to pay attention to them, but just also leaving that to the side. Like, it's easier to just admit ahead of time that you might be wrong and accept that and treat everyone around you as an equal, because you're going to feel a lot less stupid than when it turns out the other person is right. It's just like save your pride. It's like a long-term investment in your pride. Like don't do the short-term investment by bullying people, like because you'll just look stupider in the end. So I don't know. Listen to the juniors. Yeah.
Listen to the junior. Wow. Quote of the day, listen to the juniors.
Yeah. A little bit, not all the way.
Yeah. So as a developer, I think when I learned about this concept, I would really be like, oh my God, co-op sounds so good. It's like almost too good to be true. Then I would be like, wonder, like there must be some challenging or common pitfall that people would say about co-op. Do you know any of those?
Yes. So for example, one of our primary challenges right now is the fact that it's difficult to get Taiwanese engineers to work contracts. So I could get somebody a contract for 4 months that pays 7 times their salary. So that's like 2 years equivalent, 3 years equivalent salary for 4 months of work, right? Is that math right? Anyway, the point is, like, they could do that 4-month contract and not work for quite a long time and still come out the same as if they had done a job for a long time, a normal Taiwanese job. However, there's a lot of cultural pressure here from like parents to just pick a steady job. Like don't put your head above the fence. Like, don't like try to be crazy or anything like that. Just get a steady job that will pay your pension and give you vacation time and stuff like that. So we work against that. It's hard for us. Like, it's hard to convince somebody, like, nah, quit your job. Like, you'll make 7x, but it'll only be 4 months of work, and then you'll have to find a new one after. And that might take a couple months. It's a little uncertain. And that goes contrary to everything that parents are saying to their kids here. But if you can get over that fear, the benefit is, like you said, really high. There's other issues as well. Like, for example, we can't offer vacation time. Nobody's on salary, right? So you basically finish a contract and then you have a bunch of money, but you have to, have the self-responsibility to like make that money last a while you find a new contract. Because, we're still quite small. So it's only recently that engineers are going contract to contract. It's not guaranteed. So it's lumpy. It's lumpy work. You have to have a lot of responsibility for managing your money. Like you don't want to be like me when I first got my first job in Silicon Valley and I'd made more money than I ever thought I would in my life, and I spent it all and then lost my job and then like had no money again. So, you got to be careful. You got to take some responsibility. And that's generally a theme. It's overall a much higher responsibility job. A lot of jobs you can just go and you just show up and whatever, like, do a commit, maybe hang out, like do a bunch of meetings, not really do much. But in this job, it really is like Silicon Valley level of like startup expectations. All of our clients are startups. Most of them are like super early stage, and nobody is telling you what to do. So, you have to be able to just like look at what needs to be done and do it. So that's a pretty high pressure environment. It pays well, but it's high pressure. So not everyone enjoys that. Some people just want to chill.
Okay, if anyone's thinking that you won't be able to get the next contract, even if you are sitting in a company, you can still just randomly get fired if you don't do good, human management, people management. So I don't see a difference.
You can get fired. That's a great point.
Yeah.
You can get fired for so many reasons. You can get fired because the company's investors just arbitrarily decided that the growth isn't high enough for the year, and the only way to increase it is to lay a bunch of people off. Or you could get fired because your boss made a bad decision, and the product you were working on failed for no reason of your own. The sales team failed, any reason, just stupid reasons. So that's a good point. So I like to think that our situation, our method, is a more clear reflection of reality. I like to think that, like, everybody knows in the co-op what everyone else is making. Everyone can see what jobs we're trying to get. It's total transparency. And so there's none of these lies that we tell each other in a normal company, like, oh, the boss gets paid so much because he's, so good at his job. No, we don't have anything like that.
So
Yeah,
good.
exactly. The boss gets paid so much because he had money before. That's how the world works.
That's true.
So you're right that, yeah, I mean, the reality is that your company, your traditional company, doesn't care about you at all, and will absolutely fire you at the drop of a hat. And we don't, because there is no like our company. It's just you. You are the company. So it's the same thing. I guess if you pissed everyone else in the co-op off, that would be a different story. And then from a meta perspective, like, so that's the worker's point of view. The reason probably you don't see many co-ops is because it's, although a co-op is a more profitable business arrangement in the long term, more sustainable, these co-ops last longer. From an investment point of view, it's difficult to find a way to extract money. For the exact reason that we exist, capital owners, like people who have a lot of money, don't want to do it because it doesn't make them more money. I'm not making any money from the co-op, unfortunately. So, if I had a lot of money to spend, it would have been smarter for me to just buy stocks or start a traditional company. And so that is why there's not many co-ops, I believe. Yeah. So that's one of the downsides, I guess. It's not as profitable for an individual or a shareholder.
I really hope you earn some money this year from your co-op.
That's the goal. We have some plans.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. When I was listening to this, I also have another question. Like, if it's a junior, like the freshman, do you think co-op would be suitable for them, or do you think they need to learn some other skill in the traditional company?
I think that juniors should absolutely look at our co-op, especially because the number one advice I give to juniors is, to go to G0V or to go to, when I was in San Francisco, Code for SF, Code for America, go to hackathons, because your personal projects are fine, but it's much more impressive when you have a group project because people working together can do more things. So the output of your product, like the actual, URL that's pointing some app, will be to a more impressive thing in the end. And so within the co-op, we have open source projects that we work on to improve our own portfolios, our own individual portfolios. These projects exist for no reason other than so that every co-op member can get some commits on it and then put a React project on their portfolio if they haven't used React before. That's the whole purpose of these projects. So we have a lot of projects like that. To be fair, some of them right now are kind of dying a little bit. I want to fix that this year, but a junior should look at the co-op for an opportunity to work on some projects like that. Or just go to G0V or something like that. Just find ways to work on group projects, basically. Plus, we're trying to teach each other things, and we're a good community for that. It's a good way to learn, American working style, to get a network in the United States. Well, all over the world, actually. We have people in Japan now and in Australia, New Zealand. But, yeah, I would say that's a good reason. I will say it's very hard to get a junior on a contract right now. Usually, about 2 years experience is the minimum. For us to get somebody on a contract, because when we present our engineers to the clients, we do it directly. We don't say oh, a junior engineer. We say, this guy, here's his resume, here's the resume. So if the client doesn't pick you, it's sorry,
Oh, so the client still pick who the engineers, not you assign them.
Not always, but usually.
Ah, okay. So if a junior wants to join a co-op, he better just build some portfolio first.
They should just message us. Anybody can join as long as they contribute to our open source projects. Although we do have a very large backlog right now, to be fair. So if you email me after you see this video and I don't respond, sorry, there's 50 people in the backlog right now, but we're working through it. So people can be members of the co-op without working on contracts. They should understand that, they're probably not going to get work, paid work, for a while. That said, this year, we are going to try to make our own internal products that we monetize and sell for our own revenue stream, separate from client work. And so, we're going to have some way to make sure that we do profit share on those. And so juniors are welcome to work on those and try to get profit share out of that. So, yeah.
So we already covered about the juniors. So how about if it's someone who currently has a job and has a family that they need to provide, and he's thinking if he should join or start a co-op even, what will be the thing that you think they should consider clearly first?
So for starting a co-op, I mean, the most natural way to do it would be if you already had, you have your network, you have your job, and maybe you build a product for your company at home that can replace your job. So I knew a mechanical engineering friend that did this. So he every time he got home from work, he would work on like a program that completely replaced him at work. And then one day he went to his boss and he was like, "I'll sell you this for $400,000 or something, and then it'll pay for itself in a couple of years." Then he started a company around that product, right? So that is like a great way to like kind of turn your job into like a business, and then you can form it as a co-op if you want, and bring on other people to work on it, and then market it and sell it to other people. So, or if you want to do it as a services firm like we are, where you're contracting people out, just like start directly finding contracts on your own. Like if your friend is telling you about, oh, we really want to build this thing, but we don't have enough engineers right now, just right then and there pitch them. Be like, oh, I know some guys. Like, I'm setting up a business. Do you want me to just take care of that for you? Like, we can talk about the bill rate later. So like listen for an opportunity, and then even if you don't, so much of business is lying. It's unbelievable. It's like, so even if you don't have the business, right, you can just say, yeah, we'll do that. Like, I've got the business set up, like we'll just do that. And then in the background, you build the business right then and there. So what do I mean by that? So for example, like a lot of e-commerce businesses will put up a website selling a product that doesn't exist yet. And then when enough people click like, oh, like, let me know when it's available. Like the website will say like out of stock, out of stock, out of stock. Enough people click like add me to the waiting list. And then they're like, oh, this product has enough customers. Let's actually make it and sell it. So like so much of business is just market validation, sorry, like validating that there's a market. So just wait till you have your market validated, and then you can start your business. And I do recommend starting it as a co-op because it is the most profitable and sustainable way to run a business. As for our co-op, if seniors are, it costs nothing to join. It doesn't even really take that much time. Spend an hour on a weekend writing a commit for one of our open source projects, or write a blog post, which benefits you just as much as it does us, because if you post a blog on our blog, then you have our entire readership who know who you are now, because your author will be on there, your website will be linked. If you do a commit on an open source repo of ours, you're in then you have a much larger project on your portfolio. And then you can just join and just be hanging out in our Discord server and talking to people. And then watching the gigs channel, that's where we post new jobs. And if you see something you like, then you can make the decision if you want to spend your weekends working on that project for a couple months, making a ton of money. Or if it's a full-time project, then you can make the serious decision of, do you want to leave your job and try to take this on?
Oh, so they can have their own current job while joining co-op, just wait for the right opportunity?
People should be realistic about how much time they have. But yes, we do have people that work full-time jobs and then spend their weekends doing it. But know that when you do that, you really, I mean, you have to get the work done either at night or on the weekends. And if you don't, like, it's a big problem. Like, so you have to be realistic about, okay, do you actually want to give up, drinking and partying on the weekends? You'll get paid really well, but think about it. Like, so yeah.
It's a decision I have to make. Okay, so now Caleb is going to show us if you are interested in joining his company. What should you do?
Yeah. I realized we never really talked about our pricing model. So by the way, the co-op does make money from the work you do. So the co-op takes 15%. So if we bill you for $100 an hour, like, you're going to get paid 85. Just as an FYI, like, the co-op still has a margin on top of your work. But that's much lower. Like, most companies take 30 to 90. Yeah. So anyway, just so you know, like, yeah. So, okay. So joining, again, just our website, and then join. We have all the information you could possibly need here, and you can also just email us if you need to. But basically, we have some open source projects. Let's see. So basically, you just come to one of these projects and do a single commit. That's all it takes. One commit. And your name will be attached to it.
README?
There is, but we just moved from Codeberg back to GitHub, and so we haven't set up our issues here yet. But yeah, there will be to-do lists. There'll just be issues against it. Or you can just take a look at it and be like, I want to improve this. I want to improve something on it.
Okay.
So anyway, point is, yeah, if you see information that's out of date, sorry, it's because we're all really busy. But what you do is you donate to an open source project, or you write a blog post on our blog.
Like what should be the topic?
Well, whatever you want. I mean, this guy wrote an article on navigating Taiwan's job market as a foreigner. This guy wrote a technical article on the walrus operator.
Interesting.
Okay, so it looks like only 2 people have ever used the blog post, but this is a great way. I mean, I would love to get some more blog posts on here. It's just Markdown, just send me a Markdown file. I mean, email me first, to make sure that I'll be interested in publishing your blog posts. It's super lame.
Okay, sure. Okay, so they will first email me and then either do a blog post or do something in your open source project?
Sort of. The first thing they should do is fill out this intake form. Once they do that, then yes. Okay. If they fill out this intake form, and then they do a contribution, they're going to be bumped up in priority significantly.
Okay, okay.
So usually people just hang out in here and we email them oh, hey, do you want to, we're interested in you, but before you can join, you have to write a blog post or do a commit. But yeah, if you just do it independently of us, without us asking, then yeah, we'll immediately be trying to get you within the Discord server, because that indicates that you're a very self-motivated person. You can figure things out on your own. You're definitely the kind of person we want in the co-op. By the way, it is an English-speaking co-op, so sorry everyone, but you need to be able to communicate in English. Yeah, but you can join and practice your English. You're more than welcome to do that.
Are you looking for iOS developer or hyper?
I'm in a different tab. You can't see me, but I'm checking how many jobs we have open right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 jobs. Next.js engineer, DevOps work, React, TypeScript job, full stack dev, Android engineer. Yeah, we have a bunch of jobs open. So.
好，太好了，谢谢你的分享。Is there anything else that you would like to share, or anything that we missed about co-op that you would like to tell people?
Okay, I have a thought. I do think that it's a very good time to start thinking about how to make money outside of traditional methods, because AI is here and it can do a lot, but it doesn't matter how much AI can do or not do. It doesn't matter if the code it writes is bad, or if the apps, if it can actually write apps separate of an engineer. The only thing that matters is, do company owners think AI can do your job? That's the only thing that matters. And the answer is yes. Company owners think AI can replace you. They're incorrect, but they believe it. And so you're probably going to lose your job over that. I would guess that the majority of people that are going to lose their job this year are going to be because some boss thought that he could replace them with AI. That being said, it's a good time to start thinking about how can I make money for myself, either freelancing or building your own projects that have a revenue stream, like a SaaS product or a mobile game or whatever. The upside is, because of AI and because everyone's losing their job, is there's a lot of great people out there that are in the same boat as you and want to work together to improve their situation. The co-op is an example of people who are, I don't think a bunch of people lost their job in the co-op, but it's people who are trying to work together to set themselves up to where they don't need to beg somebody else to do work for them. We're just doing work for ourselves. And I think it's going to be really important to do that. A lot of contracts are probably going to be fixing AI slop. It's the classic situation: your company fires you, then 3 months later they come begging back for you, and you charge them 4x your salary. Yeah, I'm a contractor now though, so sorry, I got billed this much per hour at this much minimum. So now's the time to prepare yourself for that outcome. Yeah.
Yeah, I also agree with that. I think now is actually a really good timing to think about maybe you want to try something new, do something different, because I think the work dynamic is changing super fast. And with AI, not only they may replace your job, and maybe you need to learn how to work with AI. And I also think if you want to have a new business, have a stop, I think with all the AI tools, it's more easier than ever to do something new, try something different. The cost is super low.
Yeah. Well, yeah, true. And one thing we want to do, we might even do this year, because revenue is up. We're probably going to start paying for AI tools for our members. So we have separate benefits, by the way. I didn't really mention that, but we have, like, for example, a server you can use to deploy your open source projects. We have a bunch of open source software, self-hosted, that you can use for whatever, like time tracking software, or just a bunch of, I can't even think, just so many random things. And so one of the benefits we want to add this year is AI tokens, like for ChatGPT or Claude or something like that. So yeah, it's a good time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing about the benefit.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's it for the video. Thank you for
Thank you
talking
so
with me.
much.
It shows, yes, it's really nice meeting you. And if
Yeah.
anyone wants to know more about Caleb, I want to share a video of him. Like in the last year, he was interviewed on the street. Yeah, I think that was a really interesting video. You can know Caleb more, see his personality. It's really cool.
Hit the 0.75x in that video. I talk really fast in it. I'm sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
But it has subtitles, so it's fine.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, Teddy Lat's good at
Okay,
that. Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you so much, Jane. Okay.